As the run to the NASCAR playoffs continues to heat up with 4 races left, I started to think about the playoffs themselves, and throughout the history of them, how different drivers have made great runs at championships. This video, well, it's going to be covering the complete opposite. For every great championship run there's been since 2004, there's also been some complete duds. So today we're going to look back at the 10 worst championship runs or playoff appearances that have been in the sport since 2004. And it's not exactly going to go purely off statistics. That will be one metric to look at, but there also will be the metric of looking at expectations going into the year and the chase or playoffs, seeing how they were in the first 26 races, as well as, well, opinion to break any ties of those that are really close. So without further ado, let's get right into it. At number 10 is Brian Vickers in 2009. In 2009, Brian Vickers was a driver who was generally between 10th and 15th every week. It wasn't looking like he was going to be a championship contender by any means, but he started to put together a pretty good Cinderella run into the chase that year. In 26 starts, he had a win, 4 top 5s and 13 top 10s, but that doesn't tell all of the story. His clutch win at Michigan, literally a clutch win as he saved fuel, and beating out guys like Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth, and Clint Bowyer with really good finishes leading up to the chase, really gave him a lot of momentum heading in, and a lot of people were thinking, hey, maybe he's a dark horse threat. Well, everyone thought wrong because the momentum completely hit a brick wall, as he was a complete no-show in the chase, not even getting a top 10, finishing below 30th 3 times, averaging a 24th place finish, and locking himself into the 12th and last place finisher in the chase before the last race was even started. Yeah, this is definitely one of the worst NASCAR playoff runs ever. And number 9 is Denny Hamlin in 2007. In the regular season in 2007, Hamlin was one of the most consistent drivers in NASCAR. Looking to build upon his great rookie season in 2006, he was between 2nd and 4th in points literally the entire regular season and seemed consistent enough to challenge the Hendrick Motorsports cars. Well, into the chase, he had 10 top 5s, 15 top 10s, and a win at New Hampshire, which was opening up that year's chase. And then he completely shit the bed, floundering the entire time, only getting 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s, and averaging around an 18th place finish the entire time. Hamlin pretty much disappeared as soon as the chase started. At number 8 is Kyle Larson in 2017. In the regular season, he had 4 wins and seemed to be having his breakout season. And while Martin Truex Jr. was easily the championship favorite, he looked to be one of the few people who could actually keep pace with the 78 car that year. And it looked like that into the round of 16 as well, with 3 straight top 5s and easily qualifying for the round of 12. And then the round of 12 came. He didn't actually do that awful to start with. A 10th place finish at Charlotte and a 13th at Talladega had him in a good position to advance. But in one of the greatest season collapses in recent NASCAR memory, he blew an engine at Kansas, and that was one of 4 straight DNFs that really cratered him down to 8th in the final point standings. A pretty disappointing finish to what looked to be a championship-level year. At number 7 is Michael McDowell in 2021. I'm going to be short and sweet with this one because, well, his appearance was short and sweet. He won the 2021 Daytona 500 and had a pretty good start to the season, getting a few top 10s, and being compared to years before, well, that was pretty good. But his equipment was starting to fail and get slower and slower as the year went on, and once the playoffs started, he had no shot whatsoever of advancing. He finished 37th, 38th, and 24th in the round of 16, averaged a 23rd place finish, and he only finished above 20th 3 times in those final few races. At number 6 is Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 2008. In the 2008 regular season, Earnhardt was one of the most consistent drivers out there, and while he only had 1 win, anyone who watched that year knew that he could have or should have at least had 2 to 5 wins at that point. In 26 races, that 1 win was accompanied by 8 top 5s and 13 top 10s, and he was a top guy, 2nd to 4th in points all year long. It seemed like it'd be between him and Kyle Busch. And in the chase, it started pretty well, as at New Hampshire, he led the most laps and finished 5th. But it all went to hell in a handbasket pretty quickly as a 24th at Dover, 13th at Kansas, 28th at Talladega, and 36th at Charlotte completely ended his chase bid. He tried to at least make up a few places and points, but with a final DNF at Homestead, a 12th place points finish is all he would get, and he only had 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s in those final 10 races, and an 18th place average. Breaking into the top 5, we have Kyle Busch in 2011. People remember 2011 for being Carl Edwards' year as he was really consistent, but Kyle Busch was one of the few drivers who actually was better than him in points for most of the season heading into the chase in 2011. With 4 wins, he was the man to beat going into the chase as the top seed. He had the most wins and points going into the chase as well, and he really was a favorite. Well, in the chase, he was inconsistent from the start, and by the time they got to Texas, he was eliminated, but because of his actions in the truck race, he couldn't even participate in that race and would be eliminated simply from not starting the race. It was definitely one of Kyle Busch's most embarrassing moments of the early part of his career. At number 4, I'm going to be even shorter and sweeter than with McDowell, as in 2016, Chris Buescher would easily be on this list. He got into the playoffs simply off a lucky Pocono win where fog just wouldn't leave the track, and once he made the playoffs, he only got 1 top 20 in the last 10 races. This has to be the absolute worst statistical run in playoff history, though expectations were next to nothing. Getting bronze on the podium is Ryan Blaney in 2020. Now, the 2020 season wasn't all that special for Blaney. Actually, it was a relatively normal one for him at that point, as in 26 races, he had a win, 8 top 5s, and 11 top 10s. And he was expected to probably be in the round of 12, or even the round of 8 if he was able to get hot. Well, that didn't happen, as in 2020, he, in the playoffs, finished 24th, 19th, and 13th. As the tracks of Darlington, Richmond, and Bristol were his 3 worst. He never even finished on the lead lap and was a shock elimination in the round of 16. Getting the silver medal on this list is Jimmy Johnson in 2015. Going into the playoffs that year, he was the top seed as he had 4 wins, 11 top 5s, and 17 top 10s, and it was looking very possible that he could get title number 7. Now, in the playoffs starting out, he didn't do great, but he didn't do awful either. He was 11th at Chicagoland and 6th at New Hampshire. And going into Dover, it looked like he was pretty safe to make it to the next round. But unlike a lot on this list, he just had horrid luck at Dover, as a mechanical issue managed to relegate him to finishing almost 40 laps down, and at the end of the day, finishing outside of the round of 12. He got eliminated in the round of 16 in the former 2014 to 2016 chase playoff format. This, though, was probably the most shocking first-round exit in the early years of this format. Now, at number 1 and taking the gold, it has to be Kyle Busch in 2008. In the regular season in 2008, Kyle Busch was dominant, and I mean absolutely dominant. He probably put together the best regular season we've seen in the playoff era since 2004, with 8 wins, 15 top 5s, and 17 top 10s, putting up numbers in 26 races that many drivers would love to put up in just 36. And he looked like a shoo-in to, if not win the title, be right in the thick of the title fight. And then the chase started, and he absolutely collapsed. He finished 34th at New Hampshire, had an engine issue, and finished 43rd at last in Dover, and 28th in Kansas. Literally 3 races in, he was 311 points out and last in the playoffs. And while he had a few good bright spots of top 10s and top 5s to finish off the year, he was barely relevant or competitive the rest of that season, dropping from the title favorite to finishing 10th in points simply because other drivers collapsed a little harder than he did. But because of the expectations going into this chase, comparing his performance before and after it started, Kyle Busch's 2008 chase performance has to be the absolute worst in NASCAR history. Now with that, I want to pass this all on to you. What do you think were the worst playoff or chase performances since 2004? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. And to all my channel members, thank you so much for all of your support. So until next time, have a good one.